Flex, first of all, man, I have to thank you so much for being here. It's an honor.
Oh, I appreciate it. We'll, we don't have to start off with any honors or anything. It's great for me, and it's an honor to be in Brazil. And I think this is, the saying is the best to last, right? This is my last of my media tour, the last podcast.
Yeah,
And I'm spending it with you guys.
we feel appreciated. I hope it's the best one.
We'll
Because
start off with a pound and
Yeah,
a pound,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then
yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
I guarantee it's going to be a little bit different from the other ones. I guarantee.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
This is the
They're very
bodybuilding
good.
one. Flex, we always start asking our guests about how they start lifting because
Okay.
it always has a nice story behind it.
Yeah.
What was your start? Why did you start lifting? Gym and everything. How did it start?
So this is kind of a long story, but I've always been fascinated for as long as I can remember about muscle. And it really goes back to, I think, the WWF. So I know in Brazil, wrestling is not,
Yeah.
is
It's not
big.
common. It's not popular.
Yeah, because
yeah.
when I found that out straight away, because when Hafa came to United States and I started talking to him, hey bro, you know who's coming over to the gym today? And he was like, I don't know who that is. I go, bro, what do you mean you don't know who Roman Reigns is? You know? And he's like, I have no clue who he is. But that really was the era, WWF. And back then it was on TV at like very early in the morning because it was too violent for mainstream TV, normal TV times.
Yes.
But I remember as a kid walking down, staying in my grandparents' house and going downstairs and sneaking with my uncle to watch the wrestling. And all the guys were absolutely jacked, the old school guys. And these guys wrestled every single day, all around the country, all around the world. Wrestlers such as Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, all the old school guys.
Macho Man.
Macho Man. Oh yeah. We won't go that direction.
Yeah.
But because the Brazilian fans be like, what this guy's talking about. But you know what I'm talking about.
I know.
But yeah, that was such a fascination to me. These guys being so big and jacked and moving.
Yeah.
Just being able to move around
Agiles.
and run and
Yeah.
be flexible and agile, as you said. And I think that subconsciously put something in my head from a very young age. So I picked up my nickname, believe it or not, from rugby. And that was at 6 years old.
Flex? It came
Flex.
from rugby?
And they used to call me Flexi
Flexi.
because I'd be flexible and I'd dance around people on the rugby field. So having the nickname Flex, I think that also put something in my head too. Everybody's like, oh, Flex because you're big. And I did have bigger than average forearms, calves, legs. And that was honestly, again, part of the bread trails. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like to the path in life. So picking up on the storyline, I remember again the wrestling being a big part of it, but rugby was my main sport. In the winter, I played rugby, and in the summer, I run. I was a crazy kid, full of energy, ADHD, but nobody knew what the hell that was back then. So my parents just put me in so much sports, judo, track and field, boxing, whatever it was, just to.
And Flex, just so people know, rugby is very big in Wales, right?
Oh, that is the main sport.
It's a main sport, top one sport in Wales. is
In
rugby.
Wales, correct. So rugby was truly the path that I thought I was going to follow. My grandfather played rugby. My father was a rugby coach, referee.
Traditional aula, né?
Yeah, it's traditional.
It's
sport,
tradition. So, and naturally, the goal as a kid was to represent Wales.
Yeah.
If you're born in New Zealand, you play for the All Blacks.
Yeah.
It's the biggest honor. So again, played all throughout my young, before teenagers. But then I started seeing guys around my local town, the bodybuilders, the powerlifters, the guys that work normally as security or the bouncers. And they were always bigger than the average person. And that fascinated me. These guys in my local town had a lot of respect.
Yeah.
So for me, I wanted to get bigger, but for the rugby field. Now in school, you can imagine, I'm a redhead.
Yeah.
Bully's dream, right? So they thought. So, but I was not that
Bully's
guy.
dream, yeah.
I was a bully. They thought I would be, but again, I had to make sure that I earned my stripes on the rugby field. So that reputation on the rugby field, because it's very physical, you fight a lot. And I was a little scrapper. I played on the furthest position out called the wing. which is normally the speed guy.
Yeah.
And these wings have kind of a stereotype. They call it pretty boys.
Pretty boys.
They go on with their hair. They play a whole game and they go off the field with their hair. I was like, that's not me. I am going to ruin my face, fight, everything, right? And as I said, the rugby was a big part of it. But when you get older, you get in the weight room fast.
Yeah.
There's no pads, so you have to put on weight. And normally it's the guys who play in the front row, which is the scrum.
The scramblers, yeah.
Again, wingers normally, because they're fast, they don't want to put too much weight on. A little bit of, weight training, but nothing too crazy to slow them down.
Don't get heavy, yeah.
Yes.
But for me, again, as you can imagine, I never follow the rules, right?
Yeah.
So
I think you took it a little bit serious.
yeah.
You got a little bit big, right?
But at that point in time, I wanted to train so bad, but my parents were so worried that it was going to stunt my growth.
Yeah.
Make me short. And listen, you see my parents. My mother is 5'5", short, and I don't know in centimeters in Brazil, but my mother and father are very short.
Yeah.
My grandfather's short, so I was never going to be 6 foot.
Yeah.
But my mother, because she was a nurse, she was worried about stunting my growth. So I used to sneak into my friend's gym and just understand, weights and just be around people who trained weights.